Thank you for the wonderful session, Nandip and Smita. So, as we have learned, basically, what we are covering today is basically more or less about Copilot, right? And so the first topic was kind of like a pro code, where people would be able to create Copilot using Teams Toolkit and AI Library and Azure AI Studio, right? Now the second part which we wanted to cover here is how we can create similar kind of agents or co-pilots using Copilot Studio. Today along with me, I would also have Kunj who would be also showing the demo about creating the Copilot agents using Copilot Studio. So before we start, a little bit about myself. I'm Siddharth Vaghasia. I'm a founder at Binary Roots and a technical consultant and architect, where I like to work around SharePoint, Teams, App, Power Platform, Azure, and .NET. These are some of the social handles through which you would be able to connect with me. With me, I have Kunj.
Hi everyone, my name is Kunj. I am an independent consultant working on Office 365, Azure.NET, and React based application. These are a few of my social media handlers. Feel free to connect if you have any questions, queries, or opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Kunj. Okay. So just to before we get started, just to set the background around low code based Copilot development and to understand the history of low code product suite which is available from Microsoft. This is basically what kind of covers in Power Platform, right? So ideally, if you see, most of us are would be aware of Power Apps, Power Automate, Power BI, Power Pages, and there was one thing which was coming in between was Power Virtual Agent, which has been renamed to Copilot Studio when Microsoft added generative AI capability on top of it. So it was rebranded at Copilot Studio, but it is more or less created on top of the framework of Power Virtual Agent. But there are some additional features which are available through which we would be able to create intelligent agents, which we were calling as copilots also, and which we can publish it into different channels which are available. So the top layer represents all the product suites which are available in Power Platform, and below layer are some of the data source or some of the other supporting frameworks which are available, which can be used in Microsoft Power Platform, which includes data connectors, which are basically all the connectors which are there available, which we can use across Power Apps, Power Automate, Power BI, AI Builder, which was available well and before ChatGPT or OpenAI, which was as a part of a low-code tool or a low-code product features which are available on top of Microsoft Azure Cognitive Services, but which can be easily integrated into low-code platform like Power Automate and Power Apps. And then, of course, we have Dataverse. Power FX is basically a formula-based. The way we can, kind of use formulas and everything to create certain power formulas to be able to use it into Power Apps, Power Automate, and Power BI. And then the manage environment is where we would be able to kind of, package everything into a particular environment or would be able to manage the environments wherein we wanted to create whole solution as such. So then let's talk about Copilot and conversational AI, right? So basically within Microsoft ecosystem, if you can say, there are so many types of Copilots which are available, right? Rather than going to the left, let's start with, first and the foremost one, which is very popular. I mean, I won't say very popular, but it's which is, available by Microsoft, which can be used across your Microsoft 365. Okay. This particular Copilot is a paid Copilot. It means you need to get an additional license to be used. But this Copilot works like your personal chat GPT on top of your Microsoft 365 data. It means you would be able to interact with Microsoft 365 Copilot if you have available license, wherein you would be able to ask questions to this Copilot on summarizing your last 5 emails. It would have access to your email address. It would have access to the files which you have recently conversed. Plus, it would have access to your every Microsoft 365 data because it is security trimmed. Because whenever you would have logged into your Microsoft team or Microsoft 365 portal or Microsoft 365 apps, you are already authenticating Microsoft 365 to use your data, right? So it will use the same security trim component, which is basically Graph API to get data put that data into Copilot and give you the results as in, based on the prompt which you have given, right? Now, we also have business application and Power Platform based Copilot. These are the Copilots which you can basically use into Power Platform based product and also into Dynamics product. Like for example, couple of example here are Copilot for sales. It means for the sales module in Dynamics 365, there's a Copilot which is available, which can just be enabled and which can ask where user can ask questions on your Dynamics 365 data which would be generated as part of the module which was created. Same goes for service, same goes for marketing, that kind of thing. When it comes to Power Platform, there are copilots which are available which will help you as a low code or a citizen developer to develop the apps or Power Automate using Copilot, wherein this would be kind of a supporting Copilot, wherein if you have to give instruction on what kind of app you wanted to build, what kind of Power Automate you wanted to build, or what kind of reports you wanted to create, it will use the capability of ChatGPT and OpenAI, and it will be able to convert that instructions which we are giving into creating, certain apps or certain Power Automate, which you can easily use and then you can extend to that, right? Then now, next thing is the copilots which are available in your SharePoint, which is available in your planner, and all of that. Okay, so this would basically be an helper copilot which can work on top of your Microsoft 365 products which are available. But it would have access to your SharePoint and the other data which is available. Just a minute. Yeah. So that would be available on top of your, SharePoint data and which is available. And now, in the recent releases or which announcement which has been done, what we needed to do, I mean, there are ways to create copilots directly from SharePoint itself. It means we would be able to go to a SharePoint library. There would be a command extension which would be available, through which we would be able to directly create a copilot within the SharePoint experience. Behind the scene, it is going to use Copilot Studio, which is the left hand side, which we're going to talk about, but eventually it would be able to quickly create the copilots. Okay. And now, what we have talked right now is, all our first party copilots which are available, right? Which we can use it as an end user, right? What if you wanted to create your own copilot or you wanted to extend the first party copilot which are available? And that is where the agents come into picture, which is also called as, copilot created from the Copilot Studio, which can be easily built for your enterprise, and it can be extended or it can be added as a plugin to your Microsoft 365 Copilot. So which user would have to just work with a single Copilot if you have already licensed. But if not, you can easily publish all this Copilot to different channels which are available, which can be Microsoft Team, which can be a Telegram, which can be a web application, or which can be an existing application where you just wanted to render it into iframe. Okay, with this, there are also security and authentication mechanism which are available, through which you would be able to also authenticate a user outside of Microsoft 365 ecosystem. So what do I mean by that is, for example, we have a copilot which you have built using Copilot Studio. You want to add into your public facing website, right? And that public facing website, you want user to either, get some data which is protected via your or the data sources in your Microsoft 365 SharePoint or somewhere. When the user logs in, I mean, if you have enabled the authentication, before the user can interact with that bot on this public interface site, it will ask you to log in, and you have to log in user Microsoft 365 account. And if you have access to that particular data within SharePoint or within your data source, then only you would be able to get response based on data. You won't be able to get data on which you don't have access. So this kind of, security trim or default authentication security is enabled whenever we are trying to create the Copilot. Okay, so as I mentioned, this is, kind of a typical Copilot Studio interface, which looks like this is in this was already available as a Power Virtual Agent, as I said, but now there is a different user interface where we have some templates through which we can start. If you don't want to use any template, if you want to just describe what kind of Copilot you wanted to build, so it means, there is a Copilot for Copilot Studio also, which was like an example which I was saying that by describing or giving some instruction, you would be able to create Power Apps and Power Automate. Same way, by describing what kind of Copilot you wanted to build, you can describe it here, like you want an help desk or an expense tracking or something, and it will give you an base Copilot setup being created for you, and then which you can extend it on your own, right? So if you see here, like as we already discussed, you can basically create the agent, okay, which is Copilot, and you can publish it to your organization. It can use all the capability of enhanced large language model and the generative AI capabilities which is there. You can add and customize it to your first party Microsoft Copilot, okay, wherein you can kind of bring your own enterprise scenarios, or you can bring your own data. It is available with more or less with your Microsoft 365 Copilot SKU. So it means if you already have Copilot license, Copilot Studio is available. But if you don't have Microsoft 365 Copilot also license also, then also you can use Copilot Studio. For that, what you have to do is there is a different licensing model, which is basically a package which is like based on the messages, total n number of messages which can be supported, and there is a base cost associated with it, so that it doesn't depend on number of users but depends on number of messages being exchanged between the user and the Copilot. And there's a base package, and on top of that base package some n number of messages are there. And then once you would basically exceed the number of messages being supported, another base package would be applied. So basically it's kind of pay as you go, but with a base package in mind, right? And the fourth important thing here is that it is kind of connected basically with various Azure AI Studio, Cognitive Service, Bot Framework, Power Platform AI models. It means you can use Copilot Studio and you can create Copilots where you will be able to integrate with your Azure AI Studio. So it means what Nandip has shown in the first session, wherein he created the models, deployments, added files to that deployments from the Azure AI Studio. If we want to use the same Azure AI Studio setup and create the way he created it using Teams toolkit, right? Using to create a bot. If you don't want to do that, if you want to use using Copilot Studio, if you don't want to program it, then you can use it. The same setup can be used and can be configured so that the bot would be able to respond from the deployments which have been done using Azure AI Studio and the files which has been added to the Azure AI Studio also. Okay, this is a typical agent life cycle. Okay, I won't go into detail, but it is more or less same for any bot which we develop. So basically, we create an agent. Okay, user would be able to kind of chat over the knowledge source which we have given. Now, the knowledge source here are the data source which we can give. The data source can be uploaded files. It can be connection to the SharePoint, or it can be connection to the external databases also. There are three or four currently knowledge source which are supported, through which you would be able to kind of configure and converse and configure in such a way that the user can converse from the bot using that knowledge source which was given. Now, knowledge source here would can be, as Nandit mentioned, it can be list of files being uploaded into your SharePoint or directly being uploaded there. It can be your standard operating procedures. It can be your policies, HR policies, leave policies, where user will be able to converse on top of it. It can be your SOWs or agreements, contract agreements, which has been uploaded, which you wanted. So depending on what kind of agent you are building, you can have a specific agent created for that particular use case or for a particular set of groups of users by giving them a particular set of knowledge, so that you are creating a very specific agent which for them the purpose of that agent would be only specify particular this thing. In that way you would be also able to control the instruction which you are giving to the agent, like the way Nandik was showing that he was building a career genie wherein it helps the user to find a particular skill set based on the resumes being uploaded into our data source, right? So it's a very specific use case wherein it would be either being used by the HRs or by the managers, where they wanted to find some resources which are available within our organization whenever there is a new job vacancy or a new project which needs to be there, and where user wanted to find somebody with a particular skill set. Okay, rather than them going through all the resumes which are available. This is a particular use case, wherein people can instruct the bot to find the people who have experience with on a particular technology plus total number of years of experience and all of that. Then, if you want, you can create specific topics. This is again from the legacy Power Virtual Agent, where you will be able to create your custom topics. You can also, do an advanced development or advanced configuration by creating actions and plugins. Actions and plugins are almost same as, calling a Power Automate from your bot conversation. Whenever the conversation happens with the user, you would be able to use all the connectors which are there, which are available into Power Platform. You will be able to get data from SharePoint, Dataverse, SQL, any external system, wherever the possibilities of integrations or creating of the custom connectors are there. And then you can bring that data, pass it to your generative AI, and then generative AI will create the response on top of it. And then on the left-hand side, what we see is basically where you can publish it. You can also monitor. You can also improve based on what kind of queries was being passed to your Copilot Studio, and then based on that, you can kind of evolve or adapt your Copilot to certain cases where bot was not able to respond correctly. And as I said, it is easily extendable with Azure also, so you will be able to kind of extend that with Azure. Now, why do we want to kind of create an agent that can chat over our data, right? I mean, again, this the one of the most foremost topic which were get started was whenever ChatGPT started becoming popular, was how ChatGPT or OpenAI is using the data which we are giving it to them. Like what kind of instruction, whatever instruction which we are giving it to them, if we are giving the data, how they are using that data, where they are storing the data, is it secure? Is an any company or an organization who wanted to allow their users or employees to actually use the capability of AI, do they want them to upload some, secure data or some data which we are not supposed to add it into public domain? Right? That was the most and for first and the foremost thing, which was, kind of questions which people were asking. And that is where this use case came up. Like, what if there is a way we can extend or create a personal chat GPT or agent or a copilot, which can work on our data, right? Plus, it is also secure because we are not uploading it to a public domain. And that is where the Copilot Studio, Azure AI Studio, and bringing your own enterprise data into that, kind of started picking up, where people wanted to build it, but they wanted to make sure at the time wherein this data doesn't get exposed to any public domain or doesn't get uploaded to any chat GPT or anywhere else, right? So with Copilot Studio, we would be able to do that. Like, and one of the main topic or one of the main support for this bringing our own data to Copilot Studio is the knowledge source, right? Now, what you are seeing here is basically you can add your own knowledge source. What kind of knowledge source you can add? As I was showing, and Kunj will show it in demo also, like how we can add all of this. But you can add public facing websites. It means if you wanted to create a website or a bot which can only answer to the website which you have built, it means it would be able to crawl the website and it would be able to respond to the information which is available in your site. You can do it by adding a public website as a knowledge source. Second, you can use SharePoint sites. Third, you can use OneDrive. You can upload files to OneDrive, and you can give that, okay, only give data or use this as a data source from my OneDrive folder. These are some of the knowledge source, kind of which you can use, and the bot would be able to use that by responding to it. How does it do that? With the enablement of the generative AI capability, there is a new node or an action which kind of was introduced. It's called create generative answers. This particular node or actions in the Copilot Studio, it basically kind of allows us to configure whenever this generative answer node needs to be executed, what kind of data source it should use. It will pass this instruction to the OpenAI. Behind the scene, it is using OpenAI and Azure OpenAI basically, and then it would be able to respond based on the data source which is available. Along with that, it would be also able to give you citation how it got that particular answer which it came up with based on the references. I mean, that is very typically how ChatGPT also does if it is providing you certain answers from the public domain which is available. If you would have used Copilot also, which is a personal Copilot in Microsoft Edge or in Windows, there also you would have seen that whenever you are asking something, if it is has got response from the public domain information which is available, it is going to give you that citation that okay, I am able to generate this based on this reference link which I have kind of read, right? And that is the same case. So with generative answer, you would be able to chat our own internal data, which is example of SharePoint, OneDrive, all of that. It can also do from the external data, which is public facing website. Okay. But we need to make sure that the public facing website is not authenticated. It is actually really available on the public domain. Then you can also choose and configure whether do you want this particular bot or agent to use general knowledge, okay, outside of the data source which we have provided. If you want to do that, it will act not only from the data source which you have given, but if it will not find the information on the knowledge source which we have given, then it will go and find that information in the public domain, which will act like a normal public ChatGPT which is there. And then if it finds something, it will be able to respond. Otherwise, if not, then it will just give you, that it can't respond based on that. So, and again, as I said, the other thing is you can also even pull data from the API or any other backend system by using plugins and actions. Configure it into your topics, okay? And the topic here, more or less, in a typical scenario, would be when there is an unknown intent from the user, right? So, if you are wanted to use generative AI capability, you can definitely call on a specific topic also. Okay, like for example, you wanted to say, okay, you have created which is helping user to find information from your HR, from your IT policies, and from your operation policies, for example, right? You have created a single bot for your organization, but the IT related policy is in a different SharePoint site. The HR related policy is in a different SharePoint site, and the operation related policy are in different SharePoint site. In that case, what you can do is first and foremost, you should control the conversation in the direction which is going, right? So you should ask the user, okay, let me know what you want to help with. Do you need help with HR, IT, or operations? If user says HR, then what you can do is you can create a particular topic which can be called whenever the user then asks the question related to HR. And then you can configure that generative answer node to just get data from the HR website. Same goes for IT, same goes for operation. Okay. If nothing else works, you can also have a fallback topic, which is like on unknown intent, where user is not able to kind of find anything, and then it goes to the unknown intent side. Okay. Okay. You can also do a file upload with the generative answers, wherein you don't have to configure the data source, but you can upload it the same way Nandip has shown in Azure AI Studio. If you don't want, a source to be a SharePoint site or anything else, but you want us to create a specific bot where you have a list of 5 or 10 documents, and you want to always have bot answer to based on the 5 or 10 documents, right? Why this kind of use case? In this case, for example, you can create a bot where which is available in the public domain. You don't need user to authenticate, and it can respond, because in this case, it is not going to use the user's login or users authentication or users access, but it is going to answer to every user the same based on the data source which you have provided. So this also can be done behind the scenes. The documents are get stored in the dataverse securely, so it doesn't go again, like it doesn't go outside of your tenant or environment which is there. It is going to go into dataverse, and you can upload numerous format documents like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, PDF, and all of that. Plus, you can also do a node level control, in the sense that you can choose whether in the generative answer node, do you want it to use the file being uploaded here, or do you want to choose from the SharePoint? That kind of configuration can be done. Okay. Kunj, what I'll do is probably I'll just cover the theory part, and then probably you can take the demo at once. Okay. So again, this is just, kind of theory wherein just to understand, whenever we are going to create the agents, what do you wanted to do? So this is kind of a flow chart you can consider, like if you wanted this to be done or this to be done, where should you go? There is another way of extending the Microsoft 365 Copilot is using declarative agent, through which we would be able to kind of create or ingest data into the Microsoft 365 Copilot by using the connectors, and also by calling the plugins to call different web services which is available. But if you wanted to kind of use your own orchestra and models of your choice, then you have to build custom agents, which we are seeing it today. The first part which Nandip has covered was using Teams Toolkit, Azure AI, and everything, and the second part using Copilot Studio, where it can also be added on top of the Azure. Okay. Again, same thing. This is just the more description about that. Okay. Now, whenever you wanted to kind of create a custom engine agent for your Microsoft 365, this in a way Nandip has already explained, but it is like whatever the user is giving the input, it goes to the custom engine agent. Okay. It can be, as I said, it can be a Teams library, or it can be a Copilot Studio, and the developer would have to do the prompt engineering. It would be able to have to call the OpenAI or the deployment models which we have called, and then it would be able to respond back to the end user. Now, this is a typical slide to show you the difference between declarative agents and building custom engines. Okay, more or less it is kind of same. Where it is the first part, the declarative agent is going to be using graph connectors and plugins, where the second part, which we have seen, was going to be created using the Azure AI Studio, Teams Toolkit, or Copilot Studio. Okay, one of the important thing to note here is the triggers, which has been recently introduced. Uh, this is still in the preview, and we don't have so much information which is available. But recently they have introduced within Copilot Studio, wherein when we create a Copilot, you would be able to add triggers. It means as of before the triggers which was available, anytime a Copilot, anytime a action needs to be done on the generative AI answer was based on the user input. It means the user is interacting with the Copilot by asking some questions and instructions, and then it was able to respond it back, right? But with help of triggers, it is more or less automatic event-based triggers, which can run a Copilot processing from an event which has been happened externally in the system. It means whenever a SharePoint item is created, or when a Dataverse item is updated, or whenever an email is received, or you can also schedule it. And based on that, you can kind of use the same Copilot processing capability by whatever data or information which we are getting. It can be from the API call to a SharePoint list. It can be the email body from the Outlook, and then that will respond it back to the users, okay, in the Copilot chat which is there. There is an option to add the conversation reference ID, through which we would be able to send a message to a particular user also. So this is the new capability which has been added. And if you see here on the right hand side, like all the workflow instructions are kind of available. There are only certain difference which we can do, which triggers are not available with the external declarative agents, but can be available with the custom engine agents. The way kind of it was announced, or the way to look at it is that using these triggers and everything, we would be able to create autonomous copilots bots. Okay, when I say autonomous, means the bot which basically runs not based on the user instruction or anything, but can run automatically by the scheduled time or by the event which is being happening, and then would be able to use the same capability which is there. Plus, it would be able to do certain actions by calling different power automations, right? So it means one agent can call another agent, and then you can build whole business process automation on top of it by using this kind of functionality, which is recently being announced. Okay, I'll skip this part, not that important. Actions and plugins, yes, this is important, which we have seen in the Copilot Studio. Basically, which will, as I said, which will allow you to agent to converse with your APIs. Okay, it means it would be able to create or configure the connections And all these connections and connectors are the same connectors which are available in our Power Automate and Power Apps to be used. Okay, so think about the possibilities on what all things you can do, because you have the connectors or the power of the connectors which were available in your existing Power Platform based solution, which you can now use it in your Copilot also. It means you would be able to kind of extend your solution functionality by doing certain actions, by just creating the connectors, which is sorry, creating the actions through connectors. Okay. Um, you can, I mean, you can also explicitly called, action from topics, or you can use generative AI action to automatically call it. So you can use Copilot capability to actually trigger a particular action also. But if you want to call it manually, you can do it. I mean, manually in the sense, if you want to call it explicitly from a particular topic, that also can be done. But if you want to choose it, Copilot will be able to do it. What you have to do is you have to give a description of your action in such a way that the Copilot and the OpenAI would be able to understand that if the user intent is this, I need to call this action and it will do it. A typical example would be, for example, you can say a user is coming, okay, and he's asking a status of a particular ticket, right? Now, based on this action, user would say, okay, can you let me know the status of the incident ID so and so, right? Now, this intent can be understood, and you can have an action. What it will do is it will extract the incident ID from here. It will go to your database and find the actual status of the application. This can be done via API, right? So API would call it based on the incident number, and it will give us the response back. And then we will pass it to the generative AI answer, and generative AI would say, okay, the status of the incident is so and so. Now, what if the user says, okay, can you change the status from pending to completed, because I have completed with this comment, it is already done, right? Now, this intent, if you will configure the action with an instruction saying that this action is available for you to basically update the status of an incident, it will automatically trigger this action, and then it will be able to perform it based on the user's intent, and it will extract the important information, which is the incident number and the status to be updated, and based on that, it will be able to perform. So this kind of use cases can be built wherein user have to just give the instruction and it will be able to do the instruction. So I think with that, Kunj, I will hand it over to you to just kind of show the demo of what are the things which is possible, which we have discussed. Over to you, Kunj. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Siddharth. Hi, everyone. Okay, let me share my screen. Please let me know once it's visible.
Yes, Kunj. Yes,
Perfect.
Kunj.
Okay. I hope. Great. So now, as we were discussing, right, as Siddharth mentioned, we can extend our Copilot into two ways. One is called as declarative and the other one is called as custom engine. Now we'll understand how we can extend it through demo. Okay. So if you go to Copilot Studio, so this is the home screen of the Copilot Studio. Once you go under library, and here we will be able to extend Copilot. Okay. So if I click on add an item, you get two options. Do you want to extend Copilot for Microsoft 365 or Copilot for Sales? Now, Copilot for Sales is a new one which was recently introduced, but I'll select Copilot for Microsoft 365. Okay. If I click on it, I get two options. Now, the first one which says new agent is custom engine agents. Okay. And the second one which says new action is declarative agent. Okay. So if I click on new action, I will get four different options. Now, these are all the plugins or actions which we have. This is connector. This is nothing but our custom connector in our Power Automate. Okay. So if I click on connector, I will see all the connectors which I have in our Power Automate. Similarly, if I go back and if I click on conversational, now here it will be a new topic which would get created. Okay, so this would only be a specific topic which we are talking about. So this is called as conversational. Okay, and let me go back. The third one is called as prompt, wherein you can create your own custom prompt. For example, you want to get the number of words in a sentence. This is just a random example. Okay, so you can just have an action name. So say count the words. Okay, and you can give the description, select a solution. Now, as we know, we are in a low code platform, right? So everything we do is under environment and solution. So if you see here, there is something called as, okay, let me just uh, zoom it in a little bit. So if you see, this is what I'm talking about. Everything we do will go under an environment and everything will get stored in a solution. So if you want to export and import it somewhere, you can do that. Okay. So it is very, very, very easy. And the last is flow. So this is just an overview. This we are not going to see the demo of it because we are going to understand something called as custom agents. Okay. Now, if you want to create a new agent, you go to create and you see explore agents. Now we see multiple templates available, right? So the first question here is, why do we have multiple templates? Now, in the terms of agents, what we want to do is we want to have specific task done by each copilot. Okay. So we call it agents or copilots. You can call it anything. But for example, if I want to get information regarding my travel related things, so I select the template called as safe agents. If I want to do website Q&A, I select this. Okay. Why? Because for example, if I select safe travel, okay, you see there is some description which is already available and there is an instruction which is already available. So this instruction was the similar instruction which was shown by Nandi. Okay. You specify your agent that what you are trying to do. Okay, so we tell the agent that you can only answers related to domestic and international travel related things. Okay, and you should be polite in answering. You can change your instruction over here. For example, if I select some other template, for example, website Q&A, see it has a different instruction. Now, this is the reason they created different templates. Now, for today's demo, what we will do is we will select safe travel and we will see a knowledge which is already there. So if I see there is US travel website which is already there. If I click on open, it will navigate me to US travel website. Okay. What we will do is not only US, we will also add our own Indian travel website as well. So for India, we have a website called as Incredible India, which is a government website. And if you see, it's not textual. Okay. It has images, videos. But if I just put in this URL in my knowledge source, so I click on add knowledge, we have multiple different options, right? I select public website, right? Because it's a public website. I provide the URL, click on add. Once this is done, I can even provide the description. Okay. And I can click on add and create the Copilot agent. Once the agent is created, now it will help me answer not only questions for travel related to US, but for travel related to India as well. Okay. So now let us try. Let us try and ask. First, we'll try for US. Okay. And for US, let me try and ask visa related policy. Okay. This is very, very generic question everyone would have. And it is a simple question. What we are asking is, what is the US visa policy? Now, internally, what happens is it goes to US visa website and get the data. Then AI will generate an answer for us. Okay. See, this is how it will, and it will also provide me some citations and link that, okay, if you want to see more detailed US visa policy, you can just navigate to this web link or a page wherein you can get all the information. Okay. Now, let me ask a question related to India. So if I want to do some ski trip, okay, in India. So, okay, this is Canada. My bad. Let me just refresh. Okay. So I'm just asking what is the best location in India for a ski trip? And you can just see the response. It says for India ski trip is Ladakh in North India. It has highlighted desert. All this information is coming from Incredible India website, right? So just from this data, it was able to crawl everything. It was able to understand my question and it was able to give me the response back, right? by just providing the URL of the website. Now, what if in case I want to do travel plans? Okay. For example, I want to plan for 5 days in some specific location. If I give my agent a prompt called as travel plan, just see the answer what it gives. Okay. It will not give us a satisfactory answer. For travel plan, you should do gather this. These are generic information. Now, I don't want to get this generic information. I want to have it ask questions. For example, where do you want to plan travel to? And what are the activities which you want to do? And based on that, it should answer me. So in that case, what we can do is we can go to topics, okay, and add a new topic from blank. It could be from automated as well. Okay, so if I go back and if I add a topic, see there are two options. One is called as from blank. The other one is called as description with Copilot. So I just need to give the description and it will automatically take it and it will do stuff for us. But currently I will just say from blank and I will rename it to travel plans. Okay. And this prompt or rather this trigger will help user create travel plan. Okay. Now I can ask question to the end user and I can do that using adaptive card. Okay. So there is an option called as ask with adaptive card. I can select that and I can paste the adaptive card JSON. So you can use adaptivecard.io website to create the JSON and create a good looking adaptive card. Now, once this is done, see it says, where are you going to and how many activities you are looking for. So with these two questions, it will be able to understand what I'm trying to do and then give me an answer for it. Okay. Now what I should do is directly I should not use it. I should create a prompt. So if I click on plus new, there is an option called as uh, let me call an action, create a prompt. Okay. I can create a prompt and this is very simple prompt. And you can do this for any use case. Okay. I will just create a prompt called as please give me number. So number is the data which we are getting from our adaptive card. Okay. Options for activities, destination. So these are the two inputs which I need to generate. How can you create an input is by clicking on add and you can just create an input and your input could be text based, image or document. Okay. So for now it's only text. So you can even upload a document and create an document based prompt as well. So I will go to my number. Okay. And click on text. I will say number and I can even say create a destination input. Text based. Okay. Both are text based. Now, if you can see input, output, everything over here, you can even add, see the data used and all of that. Okay. I can add sample. For example, I want to go for 5 days. Destination, for example, Ladakh. Okay. And I can test prompt. So once you click on test prompt, you'll be able to see whether your prompt is giving proper answer. See, it says visit Pangong Lake, all the 5 activities. If I give more, for example, if I give 6, and if I click on test prompt, it will give me 6 answers. And I have said that, okay, please add the emojis as well, which will help me provide a good answer to the end user. Right now I have 6. Now, if I am satisfied, I can just say that travel plan, save the custom prompt. And once the prompt is saved, the response which I am getting, I can just provide it back to the end user using send a message. Okay. With send a message, first I need to give 2 inputs. Okay. So these 2 inputs are number. Sorry, this is destination, my bad. And the next one is number. This is coming from here. Okay. So if you see, When you get a response, we are storing it in destination and number. And the prediction output, I will create a new variable and store it. And I will rename it to prediction output. Okay. Maybe travel output, travel plan output. I will just do fx and I'll select the variable and select travel plan output. Then I will just save this. Now I'll use the same prompt, which is called as travel plans. Okay. So if I use the same prompt called as travel plans, now it will go to my topic and not to a generic answer, right? It asks me for a question. So where do you want to go? I will say Jammu. Oh, let me say, yes, Jammu and Kashmir. And say how many days, for example, how many activities I want to say 5. Now it will go and it will create an answer for me. Okay. Currently it is not in a good formatted way, but we can format it. Okay. Here we have it. Here are the 5 activities. Okay. So you can see visit Dal Lake, explore Gulmarg, Palgam. So these are all the activities which is in and around Jammu and Kashmir. Okay. And the data is coming from our Incredible India website. Very simple to create. Now, use case of this in our IT industry could be your, for example, if you want to, if I go back and if I go to create, see, we have something called as IT help desk. Okay. There is new one which is coming for approval manager, CV match. So all these agents will be very, very helpful in terms of you getting the right amount of data with just few questions or queries being asked. Okay. If anyone has any doubt, feel free to ping in the chat window. Okay. If no, what we'll do is I will go to another section, which is just in preview. Okay. Now this section, if I go to the agent, which we created, and this is called as triggers. Now, the best part of agent is it is unattended, right? Currently, before agents, when we had it called as Copilot, we always had to ask questions and then it would answer, right? But what if in case I don't want to ask question directly, it should give me an answer based on some trigger. For example, when a new item is added in a SharePoint list, it should answer me. Okay. In that case, what you can do is you can add trigger. Okay. And this trigger is, for example, when an item is created. So this item can be created from anywhere. You can create a ticket and then automatically there's an SharePoint list item which is getting created, or you can have a recurrence. For example, you are doing all, if you want to give notification to your users that, okay, drink water after every 1 hour or take a break, you can do it in the bot itself. Bot will tell you after every 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Okay. So in this case, what we'll do is we will select a site. Okay. This is my test site. I will select a list. Okay. And I will select, I will click on create trigger. Now, interestingly, what will happen is, see, it says creating flow. Behind the scene, there is a Power Automate which is getting created. Everything is under the low code platform, right? So behind the scene, there is a Power Automate which gets created. And using that Power Automate, we can send information to our Copilot, or rather the agent. Okay. So if I close this and if I go and click on edit in Power Automate, you will be able to see two, one, which is the trigger when an item is created. The second one is the action. Okay. So it says send a prompt to the specified Copilot for processing. Okay. So what I'll do is I will just, instead of the body, I will select the title. Okay. Of the item. And I will say provide a travel plan for the destination, which is in the title, for 2 days, for example. Okay. You can even take this number of days from the SharePoint list item as well. I can save and click on publish. Now I can go to my SharePoint list, okay, and I can create a new item. And I will edit in grid view and just create a new item called as GUJARIT. Okay, I want to go to Gujarat for some activity. Let me just close this. We'll go to our Copilot, Power Automate. We'll just see whether it has triggered or not. It sometimes take a minute for it to get triggered. But this is the future of agents wherein you have unattended agents. Okay, you don't have to type something to get the answer. It will automatically trigger and give you a response. Okay. So till the time it gets triggered, I will quickly show you what are the triggers which are available as of now. If I go to all, we have few of them. Okay. So which is your Git, your Dataverse, your SharePoint, your Microsoft Forms, your Teams as well, Power BI, and you can even have a recurring call as well. It could be 10 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever time you want to set. And your agent would get triggered after every specific duration of time. Let me see if it got triggered. Yes. Okay. Now, if I go and test, see here, I have already got a trigger and I can click on start testing. The flow attached trigger cannot be used. Pilot, for some reason, there is some issue. I will show you my previous demo, which I've created. Okay, so if you see it will automatically get triggered and it will even provide me the answer for that. See, Gujarat is known for its rich cultural heritage, spiritual sites, all these things. For this, I was not having that particular prompt which we created, and that's the reason we are not getting those 5 and all those things, but we are getting information related to Gujarat. Okay, so this is how you can leverage agents to create requirement for your clients. Okay. Any doubts, questions, queries? If not, I will even showcase you one real-time demo which we created. So this is the demo which we created for internal users. Okay. For the internal users, what we wanted, let them ask few questions related to policies and procedure. So we had few documents present in our SharePoint document library. We added it as a knowledge source, and then you can ask any questions to our bot. Okay, so if I go to agents, there is something called as HR virtual assistant. And inside HR virtual assistant, we don't have anything fancy. It's just the knowledge which we have added, and we just need to log in. Okay, based on my permissions, I would be able to ask the questions. Oh, sorry, it's not copied properly. Okay, I can ask questions like how to apply leave. Okay, or maybe what are how to reach to escalate biases and all those things. So these are small policy questions, or maybe for your internal organization, you want to create such a small agent wherein they can come and ask any questions. Then you don't have to go to HR for small such queries. Okay, or maybe HR can ask the questions and provide you the answer from here itself. Okay. So this could be very helpful in case if you want to create small agents. Okay, I think that's it from the demo. If anyone has any doubt, question, queries, feel free to unmute and ask the question.